The cameras were rolling, the lights were blinding, and no one could believe what Tyler Perry had just said on live television. He wasn't promoting a film, he wasn't defending anyone, he was exposing them. In front of millions, Tyler spoke 5 words that changed everything. There are recordings, and they're real. Within minutes, the internet caught fire. The royal family was in shock, and Prince Harry, the man who swore he'd never return, was already packing his bags. Because this time, the truth wasn't just chasing him, it was coming straight for him. It was early afternoon in Montecito. The air was warm, heavy with the scent of the ocean drifting through the palm trees. Inside the Sussex home, the stillness felt almost unnatural. Harry was in the living room, trying to focus on a call with his PR advisor, when his phone began to vibrate again and again. At first, he ignored it. Then Meghan came rushing down the stairs, her face pale, her voice shaking. "Harry, turn on the TV." He grabbed the remote, switching to CNN. What he saw made his chest tighten. The banner at the bottom of the screen flashed in red. Breaking news: Tyler Perry claims to have secret recordings of Harry and Meghan. The camera showed Tyler sitting across from a late-night host, his hands folded, his tone grave. "I'm not here to expose anyone," he said carefully, "but sometimes truth comes out in ways you can't control. These tapes, they reveal more than people think." The host looked stunned. "Wait, you mean private conversations?" Tyler nodded. "Yes. They were recorded during a time of crisis, and they're real. I never intended for them to be public, but people deserve to know what really happened." Harry froze. He couldn't move. Meghan was standing behind the couch, her hand covering her mouth. "What tapes?" she whispered. "What is he talking about?" Her phone buzzed in her hand. Notifications exploded across the screen. Twitter posts, YouTube clips, breaking alerts. #TylerLeaks was trending worldwide. On one of the leaked clips, Harry's voice could be heard faintly, the recording grainy but unmistakable. "We had to walk away. They didn't want peace, they wanted control." Another clip captured Meghan's voice, quieter but trembling with anger. If people knew what happened behind those walls, they'd never believe the fairy tales they tell. The internet erupted. Newsrooms across London and New York went into chaos. Within an hour, every major outlet had the same headline: "Tyler Perry leaks explosive audio of Harry and Meghan." Harry turned off the TV and stood in silence. For a moment, all he could hear was the faint hum of the refrigerator and his own heartbeat. Then he spoke quietly. "He was our friend." Meghan sat down slowly. "He gave us a place to live when no one else would. Why would he do this?" Harry's phone began to ring again. It was their lawyer. He declined the call. The phone buzzed again. A message from an unknown number appeared on his screen. "You can't hide from this, Harry. The truth is already out." Meghan looked at him, panic flickering in her eyes. Do you think someone hacked him?" Harry shook his head. "No, this isn't a hack. He said it himself. He wanted people to hear it." Outside, paparazzi were already gathering at the gate. Drones hummed faintly overhead. The world that had once felt far away was at their doorstep again. By evening, the British tabloids had gone mad. Royal betrayal, palace furious, Sussex scandal deepens. Commentators filled the screens, each with their own version of the story. Some blamed Tyler, others blamed the couple. But most of them agreed on one thing: this was the biggest royal scandal since Diana. Harry sat on the edge of the bed staring at his reflection in the dark window. He remembered the day Tyler offered them his home, the kindness in his voice, the reassurance that they were safe. He had called him a brother, and now that same man had lit a match under everything they'd built. Meghan paced behind him. "We can deny it. Say it's fake." Harry turned. "And if they release the full recordings, what then? Every denial will make us look guiltier." She stopped pacing and sank to the floor. "We trusted him. We let him into our lives." Harry nodded slowly. "And now he's using it." At that moment, the TV in the next room came on again, another breaking update. Tyler Perry had gone live on his social media, addressing the controversy. His voice was calm, but his eyes looked weary. "They asked me to protect them, and I did. But protecting someone doesn't mean protecting a lie. There are things the world deserves to know." The clip cut to the host asking, "Are you saying the tapes prove that the palace was right?" Tyler paused. "I'm saying they prove everyone was wrong." Harry turned off the TV again, his jaw tight. The silence between him and Meghan grew thicker. "Do you know what's worse than being hated?" Harry said finally. "Being exposed by someone who swore to protect you." That night, the house didn't sleep. Reporters camped outside, lights flashing through the windows. Archie cried in his room from the noise, and Meghan went to comfort him. Harry stayed awake, scrolling through the endless headlines. Hours later, another clip surfaced, one that no one had expected. It wasn't Harry or Meghan this time. It was a recording of Tyler himself, speaking privately to someone else. They're good people, but they've hidden too much. They've said things off camera that could destroy the image they built. The public went wild. Some called Tyler a hero. Others called him a traitor. Harry just sat there numb. Every comment, every analysis, every lie built a wall around him. In London, palace sources were quoted anonymously, saying the Queen was deeply disturbed and that the Crown would respond if necessary. Meghan read one headline aloud, her voice shaking. "Royal family considers legal action over secret tapes." Harry stood up, walked to the window, and pulled back the curtain. Flashes of light filled the night sky. Reporters, drones, helicopters. He had seen this before. He had lived this before. And he remembered how it ended. He turned back to Meghan. "I can't stay here. Not like this." Her eyes widened. "What are you saying?" "I have to go back," he said quietly. "I need to face them." Meghan shook her head. "Harry, no, they'll twist this. Use it against you. You know what they're capable of." "I know," he said softly. "But this time, they won't get to write the story." He walked past her, grabbing his jacket, his passport, and the old duffel bag he'd once carried when he left the palace. Meghan followed him to the door. "Please, just wait. We can fix this together." Harry stopped for a moment, his hand on the doorknob. "I've always been my reason to fight," he said. "But this fight started long before us, and I can't win it from here." He opened the door and stepped into the cold night air. The flash of cameras hit him instantly. Reporters screamed questions as he walked to his car, head down, face unreadable. One shouted, "Prince Harry, are you returning to the UK?" He didn't answer. The car engine roared to life. As he drove through the winding Montecito roads, helicopters followed overhead. His phone buzzed again. Another message, this time from an unknown number. "They're waiting for you." He stared at the screen for a long moment, then turned off the phone. The last thing Meghan saw from the window was the taillights disappearing into the darkness. For the first time in years, Harry was going back, not as a prince, not as an exile, but as a man with nothing left to lose. The headlines rolled across every screen in the world. Prince Harry leaves America amid explosive Tyler Perry leaks. Palace awaits his return. The world was watching, and for Harry, there was no turning back. The next morning, the world woke up to chaos. Every newspaper, every online outlet, every television channel screamed the same headline in bold red. Prince Harry flees the U.S. after Tyler Perry's explosive leak. Helicopters circled over Montecito. Journalists crowded the streets, and Harry's departure became the biggest royal story since his mother's death. Camera flashes painted the early sky as the black SUV sped toward Los Angeles International Airport. Harry sat in the back seat, silent, staring out the window. His phone buzzed constantly, messages from friends, family, strangers, and the palace itself. He ignored them all. At the airport, the private jet waited, engines humming softly under the gray morning light. Harry walked across the tarmac, surrounded by a handful of security guards. Reporters screamed questions from behind the barricade. "Are you running from the truth, Prince Harry? Did Tyler Perry betray you? Will you face the royal family?" He said nothing. When he finally sat inside the jet, he closed his eyes. For a long time he didn't move. The sound of the engines became a dull heartbeat in his ears. Every memory, the interviews, the headlines, the years of fighting flashed before him in fragments. His voice on those leaked recordings replayed in his head. The world was judging him again, and this time he didn't have the strength to fight back. Hours later, the plane began its descent over the gray skies of London. The city looked exactly as he remembered, cold, timeless, and heavy with ghosts. Heathrow was crawling with cameras. Even the control tower had photographers peering through telephoto lenses. As the jet touched down, Harry felt something he hadn't felt in years: fear. Not of the press, not of the palace, but of what awaited behind those iron gates. A black car was waiting at the private terminal. A tall man in a dark coat handed him an envelope. Inside, a single message: "You are to arrive at Buckingham Palace by 9 p.m. No public statement, no media contact." The drive through London was surreal. Crowds lined the streets despite the rain. Some waved, others booed. Placards read, "Welcome home, Prince," while others shouted, "Traitor." The divide was clear. Half of Britain still adored him, and the other half blamed him for tearing the royal family apart. As the car pulled up to the gates of Buckingham Palace, Harry's breath caught in his throat. The palace stood just as he remembered, towering and pale, its lights glowing faintly through the drizzle. It was beautiful and suffocating all at once. A palace aide greeted him at the entrance. "Your family is waiting," the aide said quietly, "in the green drawing room." Harry followed, his footsteps echoing on the marble floors. Every portrait on the wall seemed to watch him. Every memory came rushing back: the balcony waves, the parades, the rehearsed smiles. When he entered the room, the conversation stopped. His father sat near the window, hands clasped. His brother stood near the fireplace, arms crossed. The air was thick with silence. Harry spoke first. "I didn't leak anything." William looked up, his eyes sharp. "Then why are those tapes real? Your voice, her voice, all over the internet. You think that doesn't affect the crown?" "I didn't know Tyler would do it. He recorded us without permission." Charles sighed deeply. "This has gone too far. The institution cannot endure another scandal. Do you understand that?" Harry's jaw tightened. "The institution? You mean the family?" His father looked at him, tired and old. "They're the same thing, Harry. You left, and now you've brought the storm back with you." The silence stretched again. Harry glanced out the window. Flashes from cameras glimmered faintly beyond the palace gates. The world was waiting for a statement, for a picture, for anything that would feed the narrative. He turned back. "Do you think I wanted this? Tyler was supposed to be our friend. He helped us when we had nothing, and now he's made us the story again." William's tone softened, though only slightly. "Maybe he thought he was saving you. Maybe he thought the truth would help." Harry shook his head. "The truth doesn't save anyone. It just burns everything down." Charles leaned back. "So, what now? You've come back. What do you expect us to do?" "I didn't come for damage control. I came because I'm tired of everyone else telling my story. This time, I'll tell it myself." Charles frowned. "You'll say nothing until we decide what happens next." Harry stepped closer. "I'm not a boy anymore. You can't silence me." For a moment, the room was frozen. Rain tapped softly against the windows. Then Charles stood, his voice cold and final. "You already said enough years ago, and look where it's led you." Harry turned and walked toward the door. "I'll face whatever comes, but I won't let you or the press define who I am anymore." As he left the room, a palace aide hurried after him. "Sir, there's something else," the aide said, lowering his voice. "Tyler Perry's team just released another video." Harry stopped. "What now?" "It's a confession. He says the tapes were edited, that some parts were taken out of context." Harry blinked, stunned. "He admitted it?" "Yes, sir. He said he was pressured to make them public by powerful people in the media." Harry didn't speak for a long time. Then he simply nodded and walked away. Outside, the sky had turned darker. Reporters shouted from beyond the gates, desperate for a glimpse. He ignored them, stepping into the garden, the same one his mother used to walk when she needed quiet. He sat on a bench beneath the old chestnut tree. The air smelled like rain and memory. For the first time in months, he could hear himself think. Tyler's video continued to flood every news feed. His voice trembled as he apologized on live television. "I made a mistake. The tapes weren't supposed to come out this way. Parts were altered. I thought I was revealing the truth, but I only made things worse. I'm sorry." The world was stunned. Commentators who had condemned Harry now turned their outrage toward Tyler. The scandal that had threatened to destroy him was beginning to turn in his favor. But Harry didn't smile. He didn't celebrate. He just sat there, staring at the palace lights flickering in the rain. When William came out an hour later, he found him still there. "You should come inside," William said quietly. "They'll issue a statement in the morning." Harry shook his head. "Let them. I've said enough for a lifetime." William hesitated, then sat beside him. For a few minutes, neither spoke. The rain softened into a mist. Finally, William said, "You know, she'd be proud, Mum, for coming back." Harry looked at him, a small, sad smile tugging at his lips. "Maybe, or maybe she'd tell me to run again." They both laughed quietly, a rare sound in the storm. The next morning, newspapers across the world carried a new headline. "Tyler Perry admits editing leaked royal tapes. Palace issues statement." The statement read simply, "The Duke of Sussex has returned to the United Kingdom to address recent misinformation. The royal family stands united in moving forward." It was brief, controlled, and cold, but it was enough. As the sun rose over Buckingham Palace, Harry stood by the window of his old room, watching the city awaken. For the first time, he felt the chaos settle. He knew the storm wasn't over. It never really ended for them. But this time, he wasn't running. He whispered softly to himself, "You can flee the world, but not the truth." Outside, the bells of Westminster rang across the city, echoing through the rain-soaked morning. And somewhere across the ocean, Tyler Perry sat alone, watching his own words play back on a loop. The cost of a truth that no one could contain. Harry closed the curtain, turned off his phone, and exhaled. For the first time in years, he felt something that almost felt like peace. But deep down, he knew peace never lasted long in his family. He looked toward the distant horizon, the clouds parting slowly, and whispered one last time, "Let the storm come."